And today, in another court, a victory of another kind, a sour one that underlines that something is rotten in the state of Victoria. Now, it's true that almost every Premier in the pandemic got a dangerous power rush. It wasn't just Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews. But in no other state did a Premier strip his citizens of so many freedoms for so long. The freedom to go outside, the freedom to see even a dying parent, and the freedom to protest at this massive misuse of state power. And I say misuse because Victoria Police today dropped yet another charge that they laid during the lockdown. A charge of incitement against Zoe Buhler, as a pregnant woman who was arrested 2 years ago in her own home, handcuffed in front of her children for writing a social media post promoting a protest against Premier Andrews' cruel lockdowns. Now, the footage of that arrest went around the world. Victoria's shame was seen by 10 million people.
You're under arrest in relation to incitement.
Incitement?
What's that? Now, you're not obliged to say or do anything, but anything you say or do may be given evidence.
Excuse me, incitement for what? What on earth? Excuse me, what on earth?
So just put your phone down.
Can you record
this? I'm in my pyjamas.
What's
I have
this?
an ultrasound in an hour.
Now, anyone watching that footage who had any respect for freedom would wonder, why handcuff a pregnant woman who's no physical danger to anyone? And why not simply ask her to take down her post? In fact, why should she? Our freedom to protest must be surely one of the last freedoms for a government to take away. If you don't have the freedom to protest, they can do anything. Now, Zoe Buhler's lawyers also had other questions like, was this arrest even lawful? Alas, we probably will never find out, because today, not just, 2 years later, that's how long justice takes in this country, 2 years later, and just 3 months before the next Victorian election, Zoe Buhler finally had her day in court in Ballarat, and police just dropped the case, just like that. So after 2 years of worry, 2 years of fundraising, $70,000 to pay her bills, 2 years of being treated like a public menace and a criminal, Zoe Buhler was told, nah, not in the public's interest to continue. Police had lost interest. Now, let me repeat, they did this 3 months before Daniel Andrews faces another state election. Now, Zoe Buhler today came out of court still fighting.
I definitely have no regrets. I'm glad I stood up for people's human rights and freedoms, and I guess the message maybe going into the future is, I really hope that, more of us, I hope I can be an inspiration that more of us should stand up for what is right. It's disgusting that our human rights and freedoms were taken away from us.
The thing is, this is not the first time the police have backed off when challenged over the way they enforce this brutal lockdown. In June, they apologised to journalist Avi Yemeni for unlawfully and nastily arresting him 3 times when he was trying to cover protests, including one against the lockdown. They said, that was unlawful, what we did. Police in July also dropped charges against a 78-year-old pensioner that they accused of inciting an anti-lockdown protest. They also dropped similar charges against Monica Smith for organising anti-lockdown protests.
At the moment, we need to have a chat to you about a matter of incitement, so I need to place you under arrest for that, okay?
Pardon?
At the moment, you're under arrest for incitement.
Have you guys been following me?
Again, dropped much, much later down the track because it's supposedly not in the public interest to proceed. And I disagree. It would be very much in the public interest to know what a court thinks of this incredibly oppressive use of state power. Is it legal even? And I wonder how many other Victorians have unfairly been monstered in their own homes, even had police smash in their door like this man in Taylor's Hill, arrested for organising an anti-lockdown protest. And remember, police did all this to enforce Australia's longest and toughest lockdowns that still left Victoria with the highest death toll per capita of any state and the highest debt. Now, Zoe Buhler today said it for many Victorians, I think, maybe many Australians. After the police had walked away without even an apology, she gave a message to the Premier.
I guess my message for Dan Andrews would be that I hope one day you'll have your day in court. To be held accountable for his actions would be beautiful to see.
In 3 months, there is a state election in Victoria. Please let Dan Andrews be held accountable there.